Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the individual speakers, commentators, guests, experts, and our hosts. They do not explicitly or necessarily reflect nor represent the network, broadcaster, channel, and/or program's policy or the views held by this network, broadcaster, channel, or program. The network, broadcaster, channel, or program cannot be held accountable for all or any views expressed during this program.
On mute. Hello. FEM Talk Nation, how are you? Welcome, everybody. You should have seen us rushing around behind stage. Sometimes we got to tell on ourselves because that's what we do here. But we are always ready for you. So let's bring in the ladies of FEM Talk. We have Dr. Melissa.
Hello, FEM Talk Nation. Hello.
hello. And we have Shishi Talks.
Hey, FEM Talkers.
Hello. And guess what time it is, everybody? It is Black History.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I just wanted to mention that I have my Made for Greatness t-shirt on because that's what we are. We are greatness. But that being said, it is time for what we always...
Hot topic. The hotter the better.
Topics. We just mix it all together. Just throw it together.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Melissa, take it away.
Well, I tell you, one of the big things that I don't know if you watched it, but the Grammys.
I did. Can I say this? This is one of the Grammy shows that I really enjoyed. And I have to say, like for years past, some years past, I was not enjoying them of late. And this was really one that I really enjoyed.
It's funny that you say that because I really enjoyed it. I don't know why, because of the I don't know. Maybe because it was one of the more blacker ones than usual. But I think even though but I think everything just kind of came together. I enjoyed. I mean, I kind of came in a little late because I was just you're doing other things, and then Nick, thank God, Nick called me and said, "Hey, the Grammys are on." Doshi. Am I saying her name right?
Mm-hmm.
I came in on her speech, her acceptance speech.
Yes.
It was the best of the night, period. I mean, one that will go down as one of the best speeches. And just how she talked about just the confidence and how we are excellent and how we have to go out and do our thing. And I mean, I don't want to, I'm not quoting her, but it was just inspiring.
Well, just fact that she mentioned all of the things that is in your mind that you don't say, like a black girl, a dark-skinned girl,
yes,
from money and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So she was talking directly to a very large group of women that probably don't get
exactly.
Yeah.
And honestly, for me, it was a different Grammy for me because it felt like it was more performance driven than star driven.
Yes.
They're presenting and it's 2 and 3 and 4 people up there at a time and everybody's trying to be funny and all this. But this year it was, I have to pay attention, but it feels like, and it looked like it was way more performances and they were great.
Yeah, and I wasn't disappointed with any of the performances. Not one.
Did a wonderful job.
Yeah.
Oh, you
had one. I had one.
What's that?
I had one.
What's that? One?
And look, she's I love her, but wait a minute. Let me go back. What happened to Shima? Where'd Shima go?
She looks like she's paused for the moment. So continue.
I love myself in terms of, I thought everything was going back to Doechii. Doechii. I thought her performance was one of the best I've ever seen. Coordination, the dress. I mean, the outfits they have. I love the outfits they had. I love everything they said, everything they did. I thought, it was just like phenomenal. And
what was she saying? I missed
Doechii and her performance. Now the thing that the one performance that I was not down with, now their celebration of Quincy Jones I thought was great. Once again, Cynthia Erivo, that voice, that's all I can say. That
bravo.
I mean,
and she made me feel like it was 20, 30. Yes. She took it back to like, it just felt so old world, old school, but just beautiful. The way she delivered.
Frank Sinatra. You know what I'm saying?
She was amazing.
It was sounded amazing. Like she needed a piano and a long cigarella. Oh my God.
Right, singing those old Frank Sinatra, songs, and that's what I love that they did. We always know a lot of us know what Quincy Jones did, but a lot of people aren't aware of how much he did for Frank Sinatra and some of the old, some of the old giants in the music industry. But I'm sorry, Janelle Monáe. I love Janelle Monáe.
Oh, that was okay,
but no.
That was the one. I had some
Michael Jackson
difficulties, so I was trying to figure out what you said when I was off the air. The bad one, not the bad one. That wasn't the best.
It was not. All the people that could have done Michael Jackson. And look, I am now Chris Brown. Bring Chris Brown back. Stop it. Bring him back. He is doing his thing. That is who they should have had do the celebration to Michael Jackson. He is the only one that could do it and do it well.
You forgave Will.
I feel like Usher probably would have done it some justice too had he done it.
Chris Brown. Nobody can do it like Chris Brown. Chris Brown.
I think the dancing would have been on.
He could sing. He could dance, and I think he should have done it. It's done. Okay, we have forgiven everybody in the world for all their foolishness. Look, let me not say it like that.
Will Smith.
We pretend we don't even understand the president. Got 31 indictments against him or charges against him. So look, if that's the case, Chris Brown can come back. Sorry, he can come back. He can come back. And other people, they did a lot, and they still around. So let's stop it. Okay.
That's right.
So anyway, but. Number one, Grammys. Let's talk about the girl. Cowboy Carter. Yes. Cowboy Carter.
Yep.
She did her thing. I am actually shocked that she won. I was just as shocked as she was when they called her name.
I loved her expression. She just could not believe that she won. But, we were having this conversation, on the side the other day, Shima and I, and she was saying, do you think that they kind of just gave it to her? But when they explained some of the changes that happened at the Academy, I said, no, I think she got it because they voted for her, legitimately just voted for her because they wanted to see her win. But I don't think it was a give. I think it was for all that they have implemented at the Academy. She got voted in for this album, right?
It was one of the most popular songs and albums of the year. I mean, so many people have it, listening to it. So many people would not listen to a country album the way they have listened to Beyonce's country album.
Mm-hmm.
She had, think about it. She had some of the greats in country on it. She had Dolly Parton in it. She had Willie Nelson in it. You have, come on. She did a duet with, oh God, why her name went out my head just that quick.
Dolly Parton.
No. The one day she actually won the Grammy for the song with Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
She had some Shabuzi. She had big names on this album.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like people didn't tune in. A lot of people tuned into this album. So, I mean, I think hands down, she deserved it.
She didn't work hard for it. Let me just be clear. I'm not thinking that she didn't work hard for it, and not pertaining to the actual content itself. I'm just thinking of the whole process and how long it took and what led up to it. You know, your husband had to say something and then make it plain and make it clear to other people that this is how the industry or how the Grammys were doing their thing. So it put a spotlight on them and how they were doing their voting. Understandable. Not to discredit that she didn't do a good job, but I just felt like, oh my God, give it to her so she can shut up. That's what I feel like they felt.
No, I don't agree.
Yeah,
I mean, the fact that Kendrick Lamar swept the Grammys.
Wonderful.
I mean, that song, what he did, you don't get those kind of wins just because. I think the changes made a big difference.
Yeah.
And now you see the people winning that needed to win. In terms of they earned the win. You know, is her name Chappelle? I think it's Chappelle or the girl that won the best new artist.
Chapel.
Chapel. Is it Chapel?
Sabrina Chapel, right?
Chapel.
Oh no, Sabrina, right? Not Chapel, but Sabrina something. The blonde, sure.
The blonde, that one. Yeah. But I was listening to a podcast a few weeks ago, and they was predicting she would win. That what she is producing and what she has given out, Chappelle, what she has given out is just amazing. So that was predicted in terms of this is the work. I think the work stood for it. I mean, if you listen to the album Cowboy Carter, it is, you can listen in from beginning to end. I was listening to one of the interviews Beyonce gave, a while ago, and she said a lot of artists, they doing this one off, one song off, they do this one songs. And she said a lot of artists are not putting in the time to do a complete album anymore.
Right.
And she says, but these are one of the things I do. And she does complete albums. She ties it all in. In all honesty, I believe Lemonade that is the album of the year in the year that is. That's her best album was Lemonade, in my humble opinion. But I think because of how the genre she kind of, being it a country album, being in a new genre. And I like what she said, she said that all of these, she thinks that all of these labels is to keep everybody in their place. And she says, and we need to stop that. And when she said that, I said, I agree, because we love a label in this country, right? And all these labels are making people believe one thing and another, even that whole DEI.
And look at Taylor Swift, right? She crossed genres, right? She was country when she started. Now she's more pop, right? So I mean,
right.
It happens all the time. It's just that
who does it is not always allowed.
Yeah.
They've kept her in R&B for such a long time, and I'm so happy she won the best country song and she won album of the year, because I think it represents both.
Yeah.
So kudos to Beyonce, kudos to Alicia Keys. Her acceptance speech was also just amazing. I took one of her quotes and I put it on my Insta page. I love how she speaks. I love how she delivers her message. So it was just good. It was just a great show.
Yeah.
Great show. So.
Huh? I said agreed. So listen, everybody, we're going to switch gears a little bit because we want to let you know that we are still doing Ask FEM Talk. So we want you to make sure that you send in your questions that you want to get your insights on, opinions from the ladies of FEM Talk, and you just want to have a discussion with us while we are on the show. So make sure that you send in your requests or your questions at femtalk@gmail.com, femtalktv, at gmail.com, and we will get your questions answered right here live on the show. So we have one for today. Take it away, Dr. Melissa.
Okay, can I just where's my little piece of paper? I lost it.
I got the question for you.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The question is, what's the best way to handle red flags early in a relationship without feeling like I'm overreacting? Ooh, this is good.
Oh, say that one
I'm
again.
sorry.
It
Who,
says,
who's peeking
what
in the window?
it says, what's the best way to handle red flags early in a relationship without feeling like I'm overreacting? That's a
Hmm,
good question.
that's a
Oh,
really good question.
yes, it is. So I'm gonna start on this
Go
one.
ahead.
Because I'm very direct, especially in a relationship. Very direct. So I feel, this is just me, this is my opinion, but I feel as if there's a warning sign, there's a red flag, there's something that comes up, that it should just be addressed at that time, in
Hmm,
that moment, and there's tactful ways to be able to communicate. You don't have to lash out, you don't have to get angry, you
true.
don't have to use profanity. There are ways to mention what is happening and why you are concerned about it, right? And depending on what the situation is, whether or not you need to talk through it or whether or not you need to walk away. It just depends on what it is. If you don't like the person's answers or their responses to you, sometimes you need to talk in person a lot because you need to see the person's face, their gestures, hear the inflections in their voice clearly. I would say just be direct though.
Yeah.
The worst thing to me that you could do in a relationship is sweep things under the rug, allow them to fester, and then bring them up later. And then the person has no idea what you're talking about because it's something that happened 3, 4, 5 weeks ago.
Right.
So be direct and just mention it up front, whatever that concern is that you have.
Hmm. Red flags. I think we tend to sugarcoat red flags way too much. And I do believe how to go about it. Maybe you kind of I'm a big believer atmosphere matters when you're having serious conversations. So I do believe you prepare for it, you find a good spot for it. Maybe even say, hey, I know we haven't been going out for too long, but let's talk and see if we're ready for the next level. Let's ask each other some questions to see if going to do something, if this is going to go further, because I think if you're at that spot, you should be able to risk that conversation, because if it doesn't go your way, if those red flags come back burning, then maybe you do need to walk away. You know what I'm saying? So, right? Because sometimes you get the red flag and you see it and now it's burning and you go, oh, okay. And you're still in the relationship. The red flag is saying something. And what I think we forget is that if we're not in tune with ourselves and our weaknesses, and even some of the struggles that we've had growing up or in other relationships, we tend to bring a lot of baggage into relationships. So red flags sometimes may be you attracting somebody that is not good for you, meaning you always are looking for that person who kind of takes advantage of your weaknesses, as opposed to the opposite, someone that builds you up. So sometimes the red flags is an indication of some of the things that we're still dealing with and haven't gotten over. So I think it's real important to kind of do have that conversation early. But again, I think you pick the time and the place, and you might even say, hey, I want to talk about I wouldn't call it red flag, but let's have a good conversation, because, we really need to see what we're doing and where we're going. So I think doing that is a more honest and upfront way to have that conversation, and people will treat you the way you force them to treat you. So
Wow.
if you're in a relationship and you start making it clear that you're going to deal with situations and you're going to deal with things that don't feel good, then that person now is aware of that. And if they don't like it, they'll walk away. But if they do like it and appreciate it, they'll stay, and they'll always, and you'll create a much better communication, flow for your relationship.
Yeah. And I would say too, I just want to say too, this because, and this is from experience, right? Been there, done that. hear the answers and pacify, right? And then, stay in something that deep down in your gut, you shouldn't stay in. I've been there, right? So I'm saying this from experience. So don't,
Right.
really pay attention to the answers and really pay attention to how you're feeling based on the answers that you hear, and don't allow that person to kind of pacify, whatever that issue is. And then you just take it and you run with it. And then you're in a relationship that you really don't want to be in, right? Or you just start to see more red flags, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you allow those to be pacified as well, so because it just starts to become a cycle, right?
Right.
So just make sure you're paying attention.
And I think another piece where a lot of people kind of don't talk about is, I know we're always thinking that a relation, like when we hit red flags are stuff that, abuse or, mistreatment and stuff like that. But sometimes a red flag could be, this is just not the person for you. Like, and I think sometimes because of the desire to be in a relationship, people settle for certain components of a relationship. And then you realize that the red flag is, okay, I want one thing, the other person wants another thing. And now I'm in a relationship that really isn't for me. You know what I'm saying? So I think, sometimes we need to look at red flags as, is this the best person for me? 'Cause I think a lot of times the settling comes, or the acceptance comes with, I just want to be in a relationship. And then we find that this is really not the best relationship for me. And that could be the red flag, is that this is just not the person for you for a long-term relationship. So I think we need to look at and understand ourselves, so that the red flag is this somebody I could be with 20 years from now? Am I going to be okay in this relationship 20 years from now? I think when we ask ourselves those honest questions, then I think we get a better response.
Well, I think you took the words right out of my mouth. I was thinking self-assessment is where you need to go immediately, because like you said, it may not be like the normal standard red flags that really is, they're out there waving. Oh, he's abusive. Oh, he's disrespectful. Oh, whatever. But you also want to, what the person who gave the question said was, without going overboard. It was overboard.
Feeling like I'm overreacting.
Like overreacting. Part of not overreacting is going to be the self-assessment.
Right.
Why is this making me upset? Or is it something that would make anybody upset? You want to know the level. I feel like, for me, I want to know the level. Like, am I just overly sensitive? Or is that something that I dealt with in my past, and now it is really a triggering thing for me? And I think the self-assessment is what keeps you from blowing it out of proportion, or going off, or cursing the people out when you don't mean to, or
avoiding
the conversation. And like Tracy said originally, also the delivery, like, things get confused and misconstrued in the delivery. You may not have meant to say things in certain ways. You texted and the text was not understood correctly, or there's no tone. It's really not a whole lot of tone in text, no matter how nice you write it, how grammatically correct it is. There's no tone. So you can get those things confused. They may turn out to be a very nice person, but you have encountered some not so nice conversations via text.
So and that surely ain't a good way to.
You don't want to rest in that conversation mode, because it's just not. It's not conducive to either one of you.
I was talking to Shima about this before too. There's an exercise that I was listening to Tony Robbins' 3-day event that he did, and he did an exercise with this couple. And they started going through, without, saying too much about it, but it talks about going through like sensations, like, what am I feeling? Like, really describing what you're feeling, and like really getting into what it's feeling. Like, my heart is heavy. I have pain in my stomach, like what that is, because it takes the disagreeable part from the forefront, and it starts to talk about, here's what I'm feeling. And then you go into like, Now, what are the emotions behind it? And then you talk about what you want, right? So that you can identify, okay, here's the problem, but it takes all of the edge off, so to speak, right? So that you can really get into an in-depth conversation without all of the emotions, without, with just being able to communicate, okay, this is how this is making me feel, right? These are the sensations I'm getting, and this is what I want, and then you can take it from there. So take the edge off sometimes, right? That's why Dr. Melissa was saying, the environment matters, right? Where you have the conversation. Because you want to take, especially if it's really bothering you, as this person said, without overreacting. If it's really something that's really bothering you, take the edge off first so that you can really have some effective communication. Dr. Melissa, you're talking on mute.
Yeah, I am. I was trying to quiet Queenie down. But yeah, when you pick the good time of the day, not when you're really sleepy or, kind of tired, you know what I'm saying?
Or annoyed.
Right. To pick a time that's going to work, emotionally and physically, meaning, I'm tired at night, or I'm not awake in the morning, or, you know what I'm saying? So I think just be thoughtful about everything that goes into this conversation, because it is a conversation needs to be done. So so if you prepare for it the right way, time, space, time, place, and mood, then I think you are in for a better reaction to the conversation.
Right.
Agree. All right. So we should take a quick break here, and then we're going to get into our main topic of discussion. As I mentioned earlier, it is Black History Month. Let's take a break, and then we will be right back. Hello, everyone, and we are back. So before the break, we said that we're going to start talking about Black History Month. It is that time. So let's bring in Dr. Melissa and She Talks, and let's get into the conversation. So we're talking about protecting our history. Dr. Melissa, you want to take that away?
Yes. I'll tell you, this is a very important time in our country. Let me say it like this. And what we can't afford is to allow a specific group of people to downplay the importance of who we are and the history we have and our significance to what this country is. Good or bad, we helped build this country.
Right.
The reasons, how, all of it, we helped build this country. And at the end of the day, even though we were brought here and made to do the things that contributed to what this country is today, it's still the fact that we built it. Us and other nationalities and people who have come to this country, at the end of the day, they have taken this country and said, this is our country, and we have built it. We have helped grown it. We have created generation after generation of people, and we have moved this country to another level. Right. What we can't afford is for people that don't want to see that, people that want to go to really want to bring on the idea that this country was totally against when it started, which was really fascism, and and one voice indicating this is how everybody believes, lives, talks, breathes. That is what we ran from, the tyranny, or the tyranny that people came to this country for. If they came here, I'm not talking about us. That being said, to now go back to what this country was built on is just foolishness. I say that all to say because Black History Month, I don't know when DEI became a synonym for black people.
Right.
I don't know when that happened.
Yeah.
I know DEI to be another course that people took in school, and another level of understanding that we need to be diverse. And diversity is talking about all kinds of peoples, colors, nationalities, shapes, genders.
How dare they leave out things like that?
Gender. I mean, diversity is so broad. It talks about white. It talks about not just white men, white women. It talks about everybody being in a collective, that we are all part of it. And that if we're truly going to be reflective of if it's a corporation, or if it's an organization, or if it's a school, that it should be diverse, so that we can become better global citizens. Because that's one of the problems this country has, is that we don't understand the global citizen nature of who we should be globally. We think that the world begins and ends. A lot of people, not us, a lot of people think the world begins and ends just in America, but globally, we need to become better global citizens. So that's where diversity comes from. That's where diversity, inclusion, equity and inclusion comes from, is the understanding it takes everybody to make these collectives. So now, with this kind of restriction that people are putting on now, we're not going to celebrate Black History Month. We're taking away Martin Luther King and the emphasis and the importance of his day, and we're snatching all these things away. No, absolutely not. And if I just saw, I believe, I'm not even gonna quote it, but I saw information sent with President Obama, some of the congresswomen, some of the senators. A lot of people stand up and say, we have to fight back and mean it right now. We have to stand by what we believe. And no, Black History Month is happening, and we need to celebrate it. We need to celebrate it with just as much, if not more, emphasis on how important it is. You know what I'm saying? Just like what Alicia Keys said last night, DEI is not a threat, it is a gift. Meaning, the more diverse we are in any collective we are part of, we are able to get the best results from those communities, from collectives, because now we understand the full breadth of any situation, and now we could come up with the best and best solutions if things are needed, if solutions are needed in those collectives. Okay.
And if you look at history, right, like, okay, the country thrived off of the backs of slaves, right? And the innovation came from the slaves, right? So we advanced because of the slaves, right? And then the same thing is happening today, right? You talk about other nationalities coming to this country. I would argue that we are thriving a lot on exactly who he's trying to put out now. A lot of the Mexicans, our businesses are thriving off of immigrants coming into this country. I mean, they have to really pay attention to the history of things, and how when you allow for the diversity, you start to thrive, because they're bringing gifts, like Alicia Keys said, they're bringing gifts that we don't have, right? They're bringing gifts that we need to continue to progress and thrive. So he's creating some real exclusivity here, and not just in saying, okay, we're going to take away Black History Month and we're rolling back DEI, he's doing that there, but then he's also creating that when he's creating these tariffs for other countries.
Oh
And,
my gosh.
we're going to be sitting in a silo and needing resources that we can't get to because of some of the things that are happening.
Ourselves. Exactly.
It's foolishness. It's, and we can't, regardless of the position this person's in and all of the people that are following him, and the positions he's putting he's putting them in. We are still strong enough as a people to come against that and make certain and stop these actions. Last week was a perfect example. Halting all of the federal money, and then the outcry was so loud that a halt was put on that. Exactly. The same thing. Yeah, passed all these tariffs. Now there's a whole hold on the tariff. We have to stand up and say, no, we're not accepting all of this stuff. This is just not, this is just not going to go the way you want it, only because that's how you want it. This is still the United States of America. We have still a vote and a voice, and we can still move forward to make sure that things that we want are done. We have put people in power, in power, and we can take them out.
Right.
And we can take them out.
And I will say this: there was something very key that an entertainer artist said who is in trouble right now. This was, years pre the trouble, but he did mention that we have to stop protesting and marching, and we need to hit the country in the economy, right, to make things really effective. He said, because protesting and marching is just that. It's just protesting and marching. And it doesn't really affect real change. And if you really want to make changes, you got to hit them where they're trying to hit everybody else.
Hit them where it works.
Economically, yeah.
We talked about this last week, the whole Target thing. And I believe, I think Al Sharpton is behind this and a few other leaders, and they've called for a 40-day fast, to Target starting on March, I believe it is March 5th or March 1st. I believe, we could confirm the date, but it is to your point, is that, you want to see how powerful we are? Watch.
Right.
Watch. And and what I like about that is now that's a concerted effort that everybody can that everybody can gear towards and make it work in the sense where, okay, this is the period, and this is what we're going to do. Because when you understand, when you see the effect of what that will bring, now maybe you'll understand that this ain't going to be as simple as you think it is to start snatching all these things from us. DEI has nothing, and again, understanding, let me say this, like you talked about the immigrants, and when you said that, Tracy, I quickly looked up, the Haitian immigrants. They were brought to Springfield because no one would do the work in Springfield. The companies were going under. People, it was predominantly a white community, and they did not have the people to do the work that was needed in Springfield. They brought the Haitians to Springfield, and they revived the economy of that city.
Right.
What foolishness.
Isn't that a representation of the entire United States?
Exactly.
In such a brain deficit that you believe that getting rid of all of what you consider the lower class people in this country is going to help the country sustain. Let's just be honest. Nobody wants to say it exactly the way you said it. We don't want to use that verbiage, but those jobs nobody wants to do. You name them. Certain people just don't want to work at McDonald's. Certain people of different cultures don't want to mop a floor or till land or work on a farm or clean your yard or clean your house. Some people are just saying, I don't want that job. So what do you do when you get rid of the people that are saying, I will do any job because I want a job, or I want to provide or contribute to this economy that has embraced me? And I use that word loosely because it was at one time, and now you're taking it away. So what do you say and do to those when those people no longer want to do the jobs and you have no one to do it? How
Well,
does the country run?
and that's the other the faulty thought with this movement that's just trying to eliminate the lower class. We everybody, like you said, when you come to a country and you have nothing, you are willing to do anything. Many people have started from nothing.
Exactly.
And from nothing, they've built everything for their family. They've built legacy. They've built heritage. They've built wealth from starting at the bottom. That is the beauty of what this country is about. Is with nothing, we'll use our hands and we'll get to the piece.
Right.
So what it does is it turns the people. So you continue to bring people in, and then they move up, and you continue to do that. And that's why every job out there can be done, because this is what you create.
That's right.
You create this cyclical force that restores every piece, because what we consider low income people. In terms of, I was low income, but then from education and getting more jobs, you move up, right?
There's avenues.
That's where we started.
Now, avenues and opportunities and choices,
right?
So if I came and I had to do this job and I had to live in this area, there's opportunities and avenues that I can take if I decide I want something more for my children or myself, or I want to give something different, or you have nurtured me in such a way, I want to give back to my community.
Absolutely.
So let me go on this path or this trajectory so that I can continue to keep the country thriving that gave me the opportunity and the option.
And that's what this country is about. So when you try to eliminate Black history, try to take Mexicans out, take them out, that literally send them back to their country, take them out of this country, tariff Mexicans, Canadians, and Chinese. What does that say about what we are? We don't even produce the things that all of those countries provides for us. We don't have the capacity for it.
Exactly.
So to start I'm bringing large tariffs to all of those things. I was so happy, really happy, when I saw the Canadian Prime Minister come and immediately fight back and say, well, guess what? We're going to tariff. We're going to tariff this. Yes, you go ahead and do that. Let everybody see that this is not so easy to do, because just as much as they need us, we need them.
And I would say even more so, right? Like the imports, right, are a big part of, our everyday livelihood. The exports, not so much, right? If you take a look at it, a lot of what we produce in this country is not allowed in other countries.
Absolutely.
So, I would say if you had to scale it between how much we're importing versus what we're importing a lot more than we're exporting.
Yeah.
Right. So, times are going to have to change. Things are going to have to change if we expect, right, to have a country where we can actually produce things and then send them out to other countries.
We have way less of a bargaining chip than any other.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You can't hold that type of threat over these external countries and believe that we're going to win. We don't have the things that we produce, aren't they? Well, they're co-produced. I'm going to say it like that. Because we've not generated anything that is ideally ours. Nothing.
Yeah, except for some.
When you visit other countries, oh my God! When you visit other countries, you just realize how there's nothing there. I'm gonna stop. We did the disclaimer. It's not a whole lot of genuine things coming out of this country that is ours that we can claim.
Well, the country has.
I'm getting upset,
and the country has changed, and we've moved to more of a white collar country as opposed to a blue collar country. So we're not producing at the levels we used to produce at. And you're right, but at the same time, and again, I think it's the posture, and especially that's being represented now. there's a reason why people don't like Americans across the globe. And this posture that we continue to go there, and now even moving it to another level, is we really need to examine who we think we are.
Yeah.
Right.
But when it comes to the Black history of things, we need to celebrate even louder.
Right.
I think that was another thing I loved about the Grammys this year, is that the representation was real and it was all over. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all peeped this one, but it was Lady Gaga and Cynthia Erivo holding their hands right before they announced the album of the year, hoping Beyonce would win. I say that to say is that's what it's about. It's about us grabbing each other's hands and together doing something, believing in something, wanting something to happen, collectively coming together and celebrating each other. Because when we celebrate each other hand in hand, then we are better.
Yeah.
Because now we recognize the talents, the gifts that we all have. And I think as we go through, one of the things I was doing in my for my social media to start celebrating Black history is I started highlighting like a lot of speeches that I've been hearing from different Black people over the years, inspirational things, inspirational songs, those kind of things that we need to just celebrate it, because it's these moments that keeps us moving for the next one, right? So I just hope all of us collectively makes this a strong month and really celebrate Black history, and then next month Women's History, and then just keep it moving. When Hispanic history comes up, we need to be loud and proud about that, because all of these things matter.
Yeah,
all of these things matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you pivoted to the Grammys, right? So and this is applicable too, right, to this month, right, and how they've made changes in order to make it fair, right, and in order for the votes to be the votes of the people, right, and a good representation of the people. So you want to talk about what changes they've made for the Grammy electorate vote, right? They're saying that it's now a younger population, right?
Right.
They have nearly 40% of people of color. 66% of our members are now new since they've started their transformation. And they have more than 3,000 women voting members. They've also started something called the Black Collective, and they've started a group also just particularly for women. Right. And that there was a third category there that they've started as well. But they have these small select groups within the organization, right? To make voices heard even more, right? So to have these
really bring that change that was needed for recognition. I mean,
exactly.
I remember saying I'm not watching this anymore, because it was like who's doing the voting?
Yeah.
Who is because I think the testament was more so than Beyonce. I think the testament was Kendrick Lamar winning. I think that spoke so loud that things have changed.
Yeah.
Because 2 years ago, he would not have won. He just would not have won.
Yeah.
And it was the most heard song, period.
Yes.
Yeah.
Period. And to see that recognition given to him, I think speaks to speaks to the changes that have been made. But again, it speaks to what we just talked about. This is what DEI is about.
Exactly.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's about, no, it just can't be the old white men in charge. That's not what it's about.
Yeah.
It is about everyone from all ethnicities being represented.
I was having a discussion last week about that song specifically, and just that one portion of it. They're not like the name of it. They're not like us. How it has so many different facets to it, and of course, because he's Black and we're Black, of course we're gonna take it and we're gonna run with it. Like, you're right. They're not like us. But think about how many different communities, cultures, genders that can say that it's applicable to. It's like a battle cry for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
How could you not see that as an album of the year or something to be acknowledged? He's giving you the words, letting you know it's encouragement. It's okay. But just know, even if you don't want to be at the forefront of the rally, just know they not everybody's just not like us. And that us could be anybody.
Anybody. And
Mm-hmm.
another piece on this whole and I know is and this is a group which is a very small group of people, but the attack has been extremely large, is transgender. It is absolutely ridiculous the attack that the transgender community has been under specifically. It's a very small group in comparison to other communities that's been attacked, but the attack is just relentless and unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
And my hope is that is that the protection that this group would need comes to them,
Yeah.
because you're talking about, you know, the attack is just not a verbal attack. It is a physical attack. It's stripping away of much needed health, health insurances and different things that are needed for them to do what they need to do in order to live the life they are asked to live for their own selves. And what bothers me is that the attack is just stripping them away of everything. And we know when we get stripped of our rights, people think they can do anything to us.
Yeah.
You know, the you know all of the you know the Black Lives Matter is because one too many times you think you could kill us.
Yeah, right.
And I believe, you know, the same thing can be said about a lot of communities now. But again, I wanted to highlight the transgender community is don't think now you can do anything to them. And we need to stand up for that community and the immigrant community and all of these people that are just being so unfairly attacked, because that is what's happening next. It is not just this mental thing, or, you know, they're attacked, they're being pulled out of homes, taken out of, you know, businesses, loss of, you know, stripped of jobs. You know, I was talking to somebody, you know how many people got letters to resign? Thousands of people last week got letters to resign. Thousands. Livelihoods are being stripped from people.
Right.
This is ridiculous.
It is.
So let's be careful.
Right.
And number one, protect. You know, when we say collective, DEI is about all of us, and we should all then collectively, create a safe haven for our brothers and sisters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So everyone, listen, go out there and celebrate what it means to be an African American in this country. Celebrate Black History Month, and do some research. You know, go back and look at history a little bit. Go back and find some interesting people that you want to learn about. I wanted to just mention one movie that I was watching on Netflix, and that's the 6888. It's Kerry Washington. In this particular movie, I love the way they highlighted this group of women that were in the army. But this is a piece of history that we never would have known had someone not been bold enough to tell the story.
Yes.
Right. So go back and take a look at these things and know your history and know, where certain things come from. And then go out there and support communities like Dr. Melissa mentioned, the immigrants, the transgender community. And if this goes like this was happening during like 9/11. But now in these times, if you see something, say something, right?
Yes.
What protects people as we are out here moving about our lives? If you see that things are going awry for someone, speak up. When she said, as Lady Gaga and who else was that? Cynthia Erivo were locking hands. That's what we need to do as communities. Lock hands with people and help make some changes out here so that we can still thrive as a country, but also as communities.
Yes.
DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. That means everyone, not just one specific culture.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
Let's celebrate that. And we will be mentioning other things here for this month, for Black History Month. We are not forgetting. This will not be a one and done for us. So we want to see you back here next week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on FEM Talk TV.